Hareton Earnshaw was the last of the ancient Earnshaw stock. There was an awkward brutishness about him, but deep within he had spirit and nobility. Catherine Linton grew up a tender, gentle dove, an angel, a happy creature whose heart was light and childish. Hareton was a well-made, athletic youth, good-looking in features, and yet his hair was rough and uncultivated. His whiskers encroached bearishly over his cheeks, and his hands were like those of a common laborer. Cathy had dark, irresistible eyes and silky golden curls that fell in ringlets about her delicate neck. Her form was admirable, her skin was fair, and to look at her was to behold a real beauty. The farm and the fields were Hareton's occupations, often lounging among the moors after rabbits and game. And though his presence denoted inferiority, underneath he was quick and intelligent, owning better qualities than his father ever possessed. Cathy's life would not do without her books and her imaginary tales, but she loved to be outside feeling the west wind, the white clouds flitting rapidly above, and the birds pouring out music on every side, the whole world awake and wild with joy. Often her father would walk with her among these scenes, and it was evident that she loved him very much. But for Hareton, the situation was much different. His father had died when he was 6, and it was for Heathcliff and Joseph to raise him as a proper farmhand, so that he became much like a good thing lost in a wilderness of weeds. Cathy's initial impressions of Hareton are not flattering. She doesn't know what to make of him. Together with her cousin Linton, Hareton is insulted by them when they muse on the absence of his education. But matters change dramatically when Cathy is abducted, and Hareton becomes a jailer of sorts. The situation becomes incredibly serious. It's not until her marriage ends in tragedy that she is forced to mature ever further. In the months that follow, she comes to realize that Hareton is not as quite as he seems. She finds herself inclined to accept him, and the enemies were thenceforth sworn allies. The union of Cathy and Hareton comes to us as something of a shock. When they first met, she was very young. She had been curious about the landscape, and it was Hareton who had opened the mysteries of the Fairy Cave and many other queer places around and about the Penistone Crags. But their meeting was to be kept secret. Her father objected to everything associated with the Heights. Paradoxically, it is his influence that functions to secure the future of that household. Cathy loved her father deeply, and for 17 years, he remained steadfast in his love for her. The strength of this bond is more profound than you might imagine. A daughter's relationship with her father can play a key role in her psychological development. When a father is present in her life, a girl can grow up with a healthy sense of who she is. She is more confident and self-assured, and she has a better understanding of how she chooses to set her goals. Edgar's authoritative parenting style meant that he was insistent on having his rules obeyed, yet his ways were largely benign. As Cathy grew up, she would have known structure and independence based on the quality of love as a mode of responsibility, and vice versa. For Nellie, the experience of participating in Cathy's upbringing were the happiest days of her life. Nellie was there to reinforce Edgar's well-mannered approach, resulting in a young Catherine who would come to face life's problems with the confidence to think critically. Hareton, by contrast, suffered the brunt of Heathcliff's authoritarian intimidation. His life wasn't about obeying rules, it was about obeying orders. Depriving him of the ability to read had been incredibly debilitating, serving to undermine his honest, warm, intelligent nature. But Hareton has Earnshaw blood, the kind that drives the will to make life all that it can possibly be. In Cathy, he sees a power that he thought could not exist, the power to stand up to Heathcliff. Cathy says to Heathcliff, "But I'll not do anything, though you should swear your tongue out, accept what I please." To see this inspires Hareton to stick up for her when she is not around. He tells her, "Why have I made him angry by taking your part then 100 times?" The yearning to move forward with their lives stirs deeply within their spirits. To see the two of them suddenly working together is an alarming sight. Both Heathcliff and Joseph are perplexed by this development, but the sense of defeat is in the air. Through the medium of Cathy's strength, the walls of domination have been compromised. And Cathy's willingness to bond with Hareton is not the worst, for in spite of all the mental agony and mockery that he endured at the expense of Heathcliff, the worthy trait of his humanity surfaces as he is seen weeping by Heathcliff's coffin in bitter earnest, the only father he ever really knew.
Linton Heathcliff was an ailing, peevish creature, a pale, delicate, effeminate boy who grew up somewhere in London. When he is brought to the Heights, the sight of Heathcliff, Joseph, and Hareton becomes a spectacle of horror. He relies on a secret correspondence with Cathy to alleviate the extremes of his discomfort, but when they are caught, he sinks into despondency. His emergent nature, however, is that of a listless apathy, with the temper of a child that frets and teases on purpose just to be soothed. These are his true colors. Heathcliff sees him as a whey-faced, whining wretch, but as a means to achieving his nefarious ends nonetheless. Linton's frailty imbues him with worm-like qualities when he follows on the orders of his father to lure Cathy and Ellen back to the Heights with his dastardly tricks. But Linton's constitution is not entirely cut and dried. He comes to admit to Cathy that he is worthless, which means that his self-esteem is suffering within the framework of a self-deprecating mindset. Furthermore, his weaknesses are not entirely his own. Linton Heathcliff is suffering from a disease known as tuberculosis. When he coughed, blood gushed from his mouth. It is a disease that can wreak physical and mental havoc in the lives of even the strongest people. And it may be worth considering that Linton attempted to redeem himself by helping Cathy to escape so that she might see her father before he dies. Linton's appearance in Cathy's life tested her in ways that challenged her fortitude to a significant degree, considering that he died shortly after their marriage. During the 2 weeks that followed, having every known thing in the world taken from her, Cathy must have confronted her darkest hours, deciding either to give in or to carry on stronger than she ever had before.
Hareton and Cathy's story unifies and completes the drama that unfolds in the novel that is Wuthering Heights. The truth is that Cathy has every right to loathe Hareton for as long as he lives. When she had been locked up, he had been deaf to every attempt at moving his sense of justice or compassion. But if she clings to her resentments, is she any better than Heathcliff? Cathy was forced to mature much sooner than was ever necessary, and it comes full bloom when she enlists Hareton's help to clear a space for the planting of some flowers. Catherine Linton had taunted Hareton about his inability to read, but she develops the wisdom and sincerity enough to ask for forgiveness, though we should keep in mind that it is Catherine Linton who is doing the real work of forgiving. Do you have an opinion about Hareton and Cathy's relationship? Please let us know in the comments. Booktime Learning is dedicated to the study of writing and literature, so be sure to like and subscribe, and thank you for watching.